Hello, I'm Monty Haas.
And I'm Martine Bernard.
And this is Words That Cook, Parenting with Children's Books.
We're here in the Center for the Arts in Natick, Massachusetts to begin today's show, The Power of Language. What a strange exhibit. What's Amira doing in here?
I don't know, Jabberwocky, 'twas brillig in the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wabe. Whoa!
How do you suppose it did that?
I have no idea, but look, that's the opening segment of our show.
Ooh, let's see, what else can it do? Say it again.
'Twas brillig in the slithy toves. I'll be doggone. That's one of the Hyde Square Task Force teens who talks to us about reading aloud to kids.
Wow, it's fun having a magic mirror. So let's see who else is on the show. Can you do it again?
'Twas brillig in the slithy toves.
That's Judy Riley with Honey and Lori Joy.
So come on, Magic Mirror, you know the routine. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves.
That's Caterina Del Conte. I spoke with her about growing up in a bilingual family. Now let me try. 'Twas brillig and...
It worked. Here she comes. Maria Dolores Rojas holding Victor. She's one of the immigrant parents from the Intergenerational Literacy Project in Chelsea, Massachusetts.
That's the show. You suppose this mirror has any more tricks for us today?
I don't know. Give it a try.
'Twas brillig and...
Now that's what I call art.
Well, anyway, that brings us back here to the center where I talked to Carol Soretta, the children's dance theater director. She spoke about how words empower her little ballerinas and help them to dance. Why Coppelia? What makes this ballet work for your class?
Within that story, there's so many possibilities and characters to be, and that, I think, fuels their minds when they're dancing. When they're physically engaged, if they have the idea in their head that I am a Spanish doll, then they have reason for movement. They have impetus, and they also have style and shape and emotion and presence. They saw folded arms, glassy eyes, and crumpled bodies, all still as stones. Show me. Come on over here. Look at this one. Spanish doll. Her costume is beautiful. Inch closer, inch closer. It's a doll. They're all dolls. Let's wind them up. Christina, that's it.
I understand because your daughter is taking this class, you're learning about ballet at home.
Yes, we've been learning together through the storybook that contains Coppelia. Kelsey would show me some of the dance positions that she's already learned, some of the terminology that she's heard, although right now it's still a mystery as to what the move is. And she's even told me some of the characters in the ballet and how to pronounce them. And it's been a lot of fun to share the story with her.
And what about Dad?
Dad has also been asked to read some of the stories with her, and we're all learning about ballet.
Take very happy giant steps. Show me how different that would look. Happy giant steps. Happy, happy giant steps.
How important is it to read the story instead of just talking about it?
I think for anyone, a story is what fuels creativity. So if the girls, after we've read a story, we can even pick out specific words like crept. What does that mean and how do we creep inside? I can physically see them changing, getting up on the balls of their feet and becoming very stealth-like when they're creeping. So now they also get an understanding of how to physicalize the word and the vocabulary of the word. There's opportunities to learn idioms as well. There was a phrase in there about the cat caught your tongue. What does that mean? Cats don't actually take your tongue out. It's just something people say if you're really quiet.
So it's a great blending of learning to dance and learning language.
Yeah, and for the language of a dancer, they need to know their story. So this book is a great impetus. And as I read it more and more, I pick out opportunities where I can teach them the vocabulary, and I think, I'm fueling their language. I'm not just fueling their bodies.
You know, Monty, I'm a dancer too on my free time.
Really? Could you demonstrate some of those technical terms Sandra was talking about?
No. I didn't say I was a ballerina. I speak a whole different language.
This should be interesting.
Let me get some of my kind of music going.
Okay. What's so powerful about reading and acquiring new vocabulary is how it enables us to be who we want to be, like the teens from the Hyde Square Task Force in Roxbury, Massachusetts. Salsa!
Hey, New York style salsa or Cuban mambo? Move those hips, Monty. Let's merengue.
Lemon meringue.
A friend of mine around the neighborhood said, want to do something to get out of trouble and to, get you out the house? And I was like, sure, why not? And as years went by, it kind of got involved in literacy and what kids really need to learn more about.
Yeah, I enjoy it because I see that the little side when I was a little kid coming up into kindergarten, early childhood and stuff. And I really wanted to, do reading and look at the pictures and everything. So the kid in me just came out.
I feel as though I'm being a role model because I feel as though maybe they can see something in me and might want to do it when they get older to show other little kids. And I feel as though I'm doing something positive for the community.
I think nobody really reads to them at home, so I think when I read to them here, it really affects them.
Well, I chose literacy because I figured, when I was younger, I really didn't have anyone to read with me. My moms, my pops, my mother and father were real busy sometimes, and I had younger siblings and they had to take care of them too, so I really had no one to pay that much attention to me. So, I wanted to give back to the kids that were my age or, younger and do something for them, something real good for them, and that's why I chose literacy.
Gives me a good feeling when I'm showing the kids, reading to them, helping their language out, their vocabulary.
It's been pretty amazing to see some of the high school students that when they first come in kind of don't know what to do with the kids. I have to keep reminding them to work with them. And I'll have a number of them that, they may not be the best student themselves, they may not read all the time themselves, but they've started realizing why this is important, and they've been realizing that they're serving as role models for the younger kids, and they see them out on the street, walking around, and it's really nice to see that relationship that's been building between them.
It's improved me, want to keep going with my career in education, so this is what I want to do.
Since I've been reading a lot to the kids, I've been learning a lot of different words because I'm reading several different books, so,
As I read every day, I don't start stuttering when I'm reading the book, so I feel like I read better out loud.
The curiosity to read has helped me become bilingual, and it's helped me just stay a good student also.
Do they have certain books that they really like and others they don't?
It depends on what age group I'm reading to. Like the little kids, the first graders, they like motion books, like things that I say and they have to repeat. They like stuff like that so they can be like active in the group activity. And they like stuff like that. Like the older kids, like the fourth graders, they like, slow stuff, like, something they can relate to in their lives. They like stuff like that.
I read the back to myself before I start reading to them. And I usually ask them, just read the title to them and say, what do you think this book is about? And give them a little hint, not telling them what the story is, but for them to tell me.
Before I read the story, they look at the pictures and try to figure out what's going to happen in the story. Like, they predict things before I actually read it.
I ask them, what do they see in the picture, what the picture's about, and sometimes what's the word, if they don't know what the word is.
I like exciting stories, something that funny, comical, because the kids like to laugh. So I like things that are comical.
So what do you try and do when you read aloud?
Make funny voices because they love that.
Most of the time they like when you act it out or do a little change in your voice and stuff.
Do you do that?
Sometimes. It depends on what book it is. So some of them really don't have characters to really act out like that.
Right.
But when it does, I do that.
You're comfortable with doing that?
Yeah. I have little brothers, so I'm used to it.
So it actually has a ripple effect in their own lives as they go forward looking towards college.
Pretty much all of them we encourage to apply to college, and so this, I try to let them see that working with the kids and reading with the kids, it's not just helpful for the younger children, it's helpful for them for their college applications. It shows that they're interested in their community. So it really, I want them to see that it's helping them as well.
I'd actually like to be a teacher.
I want to be a doctor, actually.
I end up being a computer technician or a mechanic.
A police officer.
I'm going on the level to being a pediatrician.
It's between education and law, but mostly education. I've always had that dream and helping others.
What a great group of kids.
True.
You know, sometimes it's hard to get your head around the English language.
And of course, reading something you don't understand can leave you feeling like you're lost in a fog.
Like a fish out of water.
Like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Of course, if you understand what you're saying, reading aloud can feel like a walk in the sunshine.
Which is what Honey and Judy Riley are going to talk to Lori Joy about right now.
Hi.
Hi.
Are we too early?
No.
It looks like you're still getting your ducks lined up.
I am, and actually it's making me think about that phrase, getting my ducks lined up. What word can you define in that phrase that actually means getting ready?
We don't know.
None, and that's the point. There isn't any. Those phrases are called idioms, and actually it's good to discuss them when you read aloud with your kids so they can use them in everyday life. So, honey, what are you two up to?
Oh, she says, don't you mean, what's up, duck?
What's up, duck? Very funny.
Actually, we were about to duck out for a little walk.
Oh, nice. Sounds ducky. You know, it's amazing anyone can learn English. Oh, no. Oh, it's raining. Nice weather for ducks. Ducks. Duck.
Whoa, it looks like they've flown the coop.
It does. Well, how about if we all go for a little walk?
Idioms aren't the only challenge people face when English is an unfamiliar language. Say, Martine, didn't you move around a lot as a child?
Yes, quite a bit. I grew up in Haiti, Africa, Canada, and the US.
What language did your family speak?
My first language is French, but we spoke Creole at home, and I learned English in school. I talked about how it felt to grow up in a bilingual family with Caterina Del Conte, a Wellesley College student.
I was speaking Spanish at home, only, and then I would go to school, and it would just be like this culture shock. It's like everyone is from a different area, because in my early years when I first started school, we moved out of a more, it was a little more sheltered of a mostly Hispanic neighborhood into a more, there was like one other Hispanic family, and so it was a definite culture shock to go to this school, and everybody else looks completely different. They all speak English, they all have different names, they can't pronounce my names, my teacher can't pronounce my name, and so, but it definitely knowing how to read and being able to speak English pretty well helped me a lot to transition myself into that environment.
So what the foundation that your mom gave you was actually empowering. You were able to face the outside world and feel secure in that.
She used to write stories and she used to read to us, and she read to us in English, and she would sometimes read to us in other, try to read to us in, in French and stuff, and just try to give us an exposure to all sorts of different things. And it definitely gave me a passion for, learning different things and learning languages and learning about other people's cultures, because she used to, compile, things from other cultures, and so I got a big exposure to, just other people's stories and histories, and that definitely, it gave me this thirst for knowledge.
Do you speak a second language, Monty?
About the only vocabulary I know in another language, Martine, is Frere Jacques and Chevrolet Coupe.
Very funny, but not very French.
I can't imagine being a parent trying to learn how to do something critical to your child's success in an unfamiliar language.
I've got to tell you, it's really hard on a family when kids, parents, and teachers aren't speaking the same language. In my family, I was the translator and was always angry because I wanted to be like every normal kid.
I'd say you came out okay, Martine.
I work hard at it. And so do the parents in the Boston University Intergenerational Literacy Project in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Those parents are getting help adjusting to their new culture. Monty visited the classroom and spoke to the director of that program, Barbara Krol-Sinclair.
Yes, and we also saw her and her co-teacher, Christine Smith, in action. But first, I talked with Jeannie Parator, who got the Chelsea project up and running. She's also a spokesperson for the world's largest professional literacy organization, the International Reading Association, also known as the IRA.
4 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off, bumping his head. Mama called the doctor. Doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed."
Jeannie, tell us about the IRA's focus on literacy.
IRA is predominantly focused on classroom literacy and how to help children in classrooms. But in today's world, where there's less information, is how to support children at home. That's an area that's becoming increasingly important. It's emphasized at the school level. It's even emphasized at the legislative level. A lot of people are telling us we must involve families. How to involve families is difficult and not nearly as well known to teachers. So one of IRA's efforts is to get to teachers information about how to support families. They do this through publications. They do it through conferences. They do it by showcasing work that has some research-based work that there's some evidence is making a difference, and it brings them to projects like ours.
What are some of the ways that you make it fun?
Like I singing for my daughter. She is very loud to sing. Then she come with me and lesson, and I try to read.
So you sing the words to the book. And then that way, your daughter loves music, so she always listens. She's 3?
She's 3.
She's almost 4, yeah? I can just see you sitting at home and singing these books. Can't you imagine, Afifa? All right, does somebody else at this table want to share something? We emphasize with our parents that there are a whole lot of things that constitute literacy. It's not just reading the textbook or writing a formal essay. That kind of, writing a shopping list is literacy, and it's not only literacy for personal interest, but you can bring your children in. You can have your child try to write, the word ice cream if she wants ice cream. Take your children to the supermarket and look on the shelves, and have them help identify the name of the cereal, the word Cheerios or whatever. That watching television together and talking about it, all of that is literacy.
Talk to us about the relationship that builds, that the parents have come back and told you about.
For a lot of the parents in this program, because when they come in especially, they don't speak much English, and their children tend to jump way ahead on them in acquiring English, and children end up translating for their parents. It really changes the whole parent-child relationship.
She loves Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. And when I read, Diana always told me, is not 3, is 3 or something. Always pronunciation.
She correcting you. I told you yesterday, it's not just because English isn't your first language. My 10-year-old daughter corrects everything I say too. She's like, Mom. We talk about how do you help your child with homework when you really don't understand that homework. You can still help out. There are still ways that you can support. And it helps the parent build that relationship back as the parent. Take the role of the parent on again. And it builds a closer bond. Communication is key. And our parents desperately want to be close with their children and communicate. But they're not only struggling with a new culture themselves, and how that affects their professional lives and trying to pay the bills and all of that, but understanding how their children are growing up in this new culture.
That's rather intriguing. How can a parent who can't really step in and help the child with homework help that child?
A lot of different ways. First of all, just providing a quiet, well-lighted area where a flat table where there are pencils and where they can find an eraser when they need it or paper when they need it. being available to answer questions. It may be that you have to say, could you ask it to me in my, ask me in Spanish or ask me in Bosnian. I don't understand it in English, but ask me and maybe I can help you. By keeping a good sense of what's going on in your child's every day, asking those kinds of questions that help you build an understanding of what goes on in the classroom will help you to be able to support. If you understand what the teacher expects, if you know what the teacher's routines are, that every morning the teacher's going to ask the child to share a current event, then at night, the night before, you can say, what are you going to go in and talk about tomorrow morning?
But they can make me wear them.
It was a delight, too, to see the parents reading to each other as if they were reading to their own children, getting that practice, getting that sense of, okay, here's how I can go about doing that. I am assuming that's an integral part of your daily activity with it, too.
It is. In everything we read, we do small groups or paired reading. We'll start out by reading it, as we did with the book of the week today, Time to Sleep. One of us will read it out loud, and the parents will follow along in their own copies. And then the bulk of their time is spent in small groups and pairs where they're getting the opportunity to read to each other, to work on the flow and work on the style and the voices they're going to use and where do you pause, but also to discuss the content, discuss what it means. What does this word mean? I never saw this word before. What does it mean? And we had a lot of that going on today.
Can you slither? Yeah. Let me see, Marilo. Let me see you slither. Jeanette. Saran. Yeah. Let me see you slither.
I smell winter. I smell winter. Winter is coming.
Oh, what was it with the ladybug? It flew, and she's using her hands a lot, using a lot of gestures, like sleep and flew. It's really good. The kids they love that when you. Yeah.
The parents have the opportunity to practice with each other and then go home and practice on their own. And so they end up they love the books. These are great books. Who wouldn't like them? They're enjoying them not as a parent who's going to have to go home and read it to the child, but they're enjoying them because they're entertaining and fun to listen to. And once they get the magic from the books, then it's very easy for them to feel comfortable sharing that magic with their own children.
Now let's review some of the highlights of today's show. For Expressing Stories with Dance and Theater, Carol Soretta suggests you read the story to fuel creativity, describe new action words, and let children act out individual words.
Like Sandy Wallach, read to learn together, master technical terms together, and let your child talk about what she's learning.
Like the Hyde Square Task Force teens, read books to yourself first. Read the title, show the pictures, and let them predict.
Also, ask what they see in pictures and what they're about. Try some exciting comical stories and act them out by changing voices.
Lori Joy suggests, use and explain colorful expressions found in books.
Katrina Del Conte says, try to read to your child in more than one language and learn about other people's culture, stories, and history.
Barbara Krol-Sinclair suggests, make reading fun. Sing the words, use gestures, and discuss content.
And she adds, help with homework to build communication. Have children ask questions in your first language and learn what the teacher's classroom routines are. Now here's Miriam Marichak's recommended Words That Cook book list.
Brought to you by the Cookie Bookie Bears.
For 0 to 3, Little Baby Books by Helen Oxenberry. Lunch by Denise Fleming. For 3 to 6, The Moon in My Room by Yuri Shulevitz. Market Day by Lois Ehlert. And P.O. Peep by Alma Flor Ava and F. Isabel Campoy. For 6 to 9, Cooper's Lesson by Sun Yung Shin. Max by Rachel Isadora. And Not Just Tutus, also by Rachel Isadora. And for 9 to 12, JT by Jane Wagner and Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz-Ryan.
For a complete list of books, including those mentioned by our guest, related activities and links, and other great ideas to make reading fun for you and your kids, go to our website, wordsthatcook.org.
Now you have some new ideas to play with. Go and have some fun with Words That Cook.
Parenting with children's books in your kitchen.